This is not going to be about the coronavirus epidemic whatsoever. It is going to be about advertising. Does advertising work? It better, because billions of dollars are spent on it every year, most notoriously during the Super Bowl. Factual evidence of its efficacy is hard to come by. I think there have been some advertising campaigns that were successful. They portrayed their product in a certain light, and the product sold. The merits of the product are important too. Few people are going to continue to buy an inferior noodle. What the advertising does is to attract favorable attention to a product. That is the showbiz aspect to advertising. It's entertainment with some relation to the truth. But does advertising work? Okay, here's a tiny example from my life. When I was a kid, 60 years ago, there was a commercial jingle for a candy bar. You made up a little song for a candy bar, and they call it a jingle, a shaking of bells. I find it interesting choice of words, jingle. Roy Rogers had a sidekick named Jingles. Anyway, the candy bar was called the Sky Bar, and I think it was made by the Necco Candy Company. I don't know if the Sky Bar still exists, but I do know that the jingle went something like this. You love Necco Sky Bar. It's the 4-in-1 bar. And then the 4 parts for the bar were represented by voices with appropriate accents. The first one, of course, was British. English toffee. Yes, that's the one for me. I found fudge parfait, my favorite of them all. My favorite flavor is honey nougat. Peanut whip for me. It's peanut whip for me. Now that's from 60 years ago. Does advertising work? I'd have to say, seeing as how a silly jingle managed to attach itself to my brain, yes, it does. However, tossing aside another fact onto the fire, I have never, not once, purchased or eaten a Necco Sky Bar. Using that as an index, I would have to say, no, advertising does not work. If you don't make the sale, you've wasted your money on advertising. Advertising works, and it doesn't work. It makes us aware of products, but it does not make us buy them. Advertising companies will point to sales and insist that advertising can increase profits. They have to be able to make that claim or they go out of business. They have to charge money. Their clients want to make money. It's purely a money game. I don't imagine that it's easy to make a successful ad. Some of them seem to be outrageously clever and brilliant. Stan Freberg was known for creating offbeat, successful advertising campaigns. Some ads are what they call catchy, and catchy in advertising is a very good thing. Some of them seem to be simple and straightforward, and they work. I did one of these on Ron Popeil. He was a showman who demonstrated a long line of goofy products on television, and he knew how to sell. I don't think he lied outright. maybe just exaggerated the utility of some products. Part of his success was that he knew people really wanted to buy. They got a kick out of buying. I watched most of the first season of Mad Men, a show about the Madison Avenue types from the 1950s and 60s. As I recall, the shows were very well made, from the clever title to the opening credits. I thought they were excellent, a brief summary of the show, lives in free fall in the same way that The Sopranos managed to do it, with Tony smoking a cigar and driving through his life, the landscape of it. The main character in Mad Men was brilliant in his work, but not so good in the role of family man, and a liar and a cheat as a husband. He was a shallow person with no real sense of himself. Heck, he wasn't even himself, not really. There was something about stealing an identity from another man in the war. So, truly, he was not who he said he was. And there is that feeling of falseness that hangs around all of advertising. It's not supposed to be true. It's supposed to be deceptive. Caveat emptor. So a guy with a phony identity is perfect as the protagonist of a show about advertising. Maybe even too good to be, well, in this case, false. Somewhere in Louisville, I think, there is a plaque dedicated to truth in advertising. It's a funny business, and I think it takes a certain kind of imaginative person to succeed in it. I tried to get into it, got a bunch of interviews, but no one chose to hire me. Later, I got a chance to work in an agency. They gave me a project to work on. I lasted one day. No, they did not pay me.